Welcome everyone to the Future of Work podcast. I'm Emma Chalwin, Chief Marketing Officer here at Workday. And I'm absolutely thrilled to be here today with my dear friend, Jannine Zucker, Global Workday Practice Leader and Chief Commercial Officer at Deloitte, a true visionary in the world of human capital. Now today, we're going to be diving into a topic central to the age of AI, leading with humanity. And for us at Workday, it's about leading that charge. And together, we'll discuss how the leadership is evolving, the increasing importance of human potential, and our ethical responsibilities as we integrate AI into the workplace. This conversation is all about adapting to change and leveraging AI to make work more human and more impactful. Let's get started. Well, Jannine, welcome.
Thank you.
I have had the absolute pleasure of getting to know you pretty well over the past couple of years, and I'd love for our audience to get to know you a bit and start with a story that feels particularly relevant to the pace of change that we're all experiencing right now. I'm really curious, and I know our audience will be too, about those early career kind of aha moments. So could you recall a time perhaps before AI became the conversation that is on the top of everybody's lips right now, when you first truly understood or experienced how technology, even in its simpler forms, could really shift and support the way work was done, making it feel more impactful?
I was thinking about it, and just over the past, 25 plus years of my career, when I started off, we used to put those transparencies down on the machine.
Projectors.
Yes, on the projector.
We're aging ourselves
right?
now.
I know. And that's how you used to do like presentations. That's how you used to go in and talk to clients, right? And then you think about it, I'm like, okay, and then PowerPoint came about, and then spent a lot of time working on perfecting those PowerPoints. And now just think about it of how like you could feed in the information and it generates itself, right? Personally too, I remember when my son was 2 years old and literally like first forming, sentences, and started talking to me about stuff that he saw on, a video on his phone. And I'm like, how is that even possible that my son is teaching me things when he could hardly put a sentence together, right? And, he's just learning all these words, yet he's picking up so many things, just online, right? And through the internet. And later, telling me lots of facts and figures that are coming from YouTube and TikTok. And,
it can be used in educational ways too. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and I'll share with you, 10 years ago, I was going to do a presentation. I'm having breakfast with my son. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, I'm talking about our human capital trends report. And it's talking about how robots are taking over the world. And he comes out with like some facts or figures about how there were more jobs created over a certain point of time because of the technology. And he's like, we shouldn't be scared of it. We need to embrace it.
Can I hire your son? He sounds awesome.
And that's the workforce we have today, right? Like, it's scary and it's exciting.
A different generation thinks very differently.
Yep.
We've grown up in a world with no internet and acetate.
Yep.
Coming to AI and all of the trends that go with it. You actually mentioned the Human Capital Trends report that Deloitte just published. From your perspective and kind of drawing in the insights from the report, which actually emphasizes a focus on the human factor in a boundaryless world, and bridging that knowing-doing gap. How do you believe the very definition of leadership has evolved because of it?
Yeah. So I think as leaders of today, leaders need to be curious and continuously learning, but then also has the responsibility to make sure to create that for their workforce right now. I think that's really important. When we look at the data in our Human Capital Trends report, 49% of the workforce are actually fearing that their capabilities are going to be outdated if they're not working with AI right now. And so making sure that as we're, as leaders, gaining those experiences, that we're making sure that we're creating it for our teams as well. I think people are starting to use it more in their personal lives, right? But I was talking to a client the other day, and she was telling me that she planned her whole trip to Japan the budget, the hotels, every site that they were seeing, everything, using AI. She's like, I had it down to the penny. And I'm like, are you using it when you're doing your budgeting and your workforce planning at work? And it was like, not yet.
Well, she's about to.
There you go. I mean, and that was like the art of the possible of the
Yeah.
conversation of like, how do I do that?
Yeah. And actually, I think it's really important that we not only use it every day in our professional lives, but actually leveraging AI in our personal lives as well can really help us. And we really see here at Workday that if we can leverage the power of technology and AI to really amplify human potential, the opportunities are really, really endless. So there's some great examples there. And it's all about that kind of delicate yet crucial balance. With that in mind, what are the key ways in which leadership styles need to evolve to effectively lead in an AI-driven environment? And what does that truly look like for you on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. So as a leader, I think we need to realize that there are a lot of tensions right now in the workplace. Right? I think it's what motivates our people, but they're also they're energized to be able to learn capabilities leveraging AI, but they're also scared about it. Right? And that brings me to that second point where people want more personalization, but there's also a balance of the ethics around it and the risk around it and the data privacy components of it. So that's also another tension point that that we're dealing with too. And so figuring out, how do we take advantage of those tensions and understand that and understand, where we need to build capabilities, both with our agents as well as with the human workforce, and understanding that there are going to be tensions, but also understand how do we leverage that and empower the workforce and be realistic. And I think we need to acknowledge that and be able to put the right systems in place so that when somebody's using it, they're not scared about, is it going to have bias in it? Am I putting myself at risk with the data that we're using? But it also comes to the power, right? And we talk about this, from a Workday perspective of trusting that data.
Yeah.
I think that's going to become
actually critical.
so important.
Partnering with people who have data that you can trust is so important, because data is critical to the success of your business and how you leverage the power of AI. Wonderful. Yeah. I mean, it's a topic that we could talk about for hours and hours and hours. That kind of brings me to a topic that is incredibly close to my heart and also to Workday's mission about cultivating human potential in this AI-driven world that we're in right now. The trend report again underscored this, really emphasizing the need to speak and spark those uniquely human capabilities like curiosity and imagination. And, I truly believe that AI can do a lot of things for us, but it can't replace, especially as a leader, that collaboration with your team, ethical decision-making, creativity, and strategic thinking. So I'm hoping that it's going to free up some of our time by taking kind of the drudgery work out of some of our day-to-day. The landscape is changing and evolving every day. How do we shift from our focus being simply on training people through skilling, reskilling, upskilling, to truly empowering them to adapt, to innovate, and really lead from within? What are you hearing and seeing out in the field? Because you speak to hundreds of companies every single day.
Well, so I actually think it's what you just said. I think it's finding the balance of how we are continuing to empower our people and giving them the tools so that they're able to try, right? Especially today, I mean, everything's evolving so quickly.
Yeah.
People need to feel comfortable with trying things. They need to feel comfortable with try it, see how it works, see how they're going to make decision making going forward, see how they could influence and negotiate. So there's certain powerful skill sets that we need to focus on continuously evolving those skills while also giving them the tools to continue to try within the work setting. If you look back over the past 2 years, everybody's been in pilot mode. We're testing this, we're piloting this. What we're seeing is a shift over the next 12 to 18 months where we're actually going to see a lot more of scaling, right? How do we take all of those pilots that we did and really scale them? And so if we're going to be doing that, then we need to be helping the workforce understand, okay, how could they be making those decisions? How could they be creative in trying new things? How do we make sure that the tools are there and that they feel like these are ethical tools, that the data is trusted, they're ethical tools that they could continue to try? I was recently actually in a leadership development class, and they forced all of us to continue trying different things and try it again. That didn't work. We'd laugh, right? And we'd ask it all these silly questions. But it actually was great because it actually helped us all feel comfortable in that setting to try again and do it. And then we started to challenge ourselves of how are we going to use that in our everyday, day-to-day work. And that's, I think, the power of that we need to be able to evolve within the workforce and empower our workforce is try these things. And then let's look at how we could leverage it, right? How could we continue to build skills? Because this isn't going to stop. This is only going to continue to evolve. And we're going to need to continue to look at what are skills we could evolve for the human, as well as the skills that we need to evolve for our agents.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? And so we need to look at how do we do this in a continuous way. So I love Workday's Skills Cloud. I think it's going to become that much more important to see what are skills that we could continue to evolve and leverage in different ways, and how do we build it together where agents could be working with humans. Every conversation I have today when we talk about the workforce, it's agents and humans and how they work as teams. We have to evolve our thinking on teams, how work gets done, to try things, and then continue to evolve it and evolve it at a faster pace.
It's so interesting. I could unpack a lot of the things that you just said, but I think the first I will say is your workforce and the dynamics of your workforce will never be as they were even a year ago, right? You're going to have a mix of human and machine collaboration. So as a leader, your role is absolutely going to change. And then I think it's also ensuring that you have the right people focusing on the right things and leveraging the power of the technology and AI, as I say, to do some of the work. So yes, it may replace roles in certain instances, but there'll be new roles created from the new skills, the upskilling that we need. Another thing that you said that was super interesting was about, you really have to take a trusted advisor role with your customers and clients, because in some cases, people don't know what to do. And, they're scared to go through the pilot test, especially smaller companies that aren't as kind of up to speed with the technology necessarily. So that trusted advisor status is really important. And then the testing and the piloting that you talked about, I've never seen it more critical that we have to show the value realization of our AI technology. What's the value outcomes that AI brings to your business, which I think is something that I know that you're working really closely with your customers on.
I mean, look, I think you want to get the greatest value out of your people and your solutions, right, overall. And so how are they going to best work together is going to be so important. So I was sharing when I was talking about our human capital trends 10 years ago and our robots taking over the world and, was the theme, right? And what was exciting was to think about all of the new roles that were created and the new jobs that are created. And we see the same thing today. I mean, you go and look online, there's all these jobs of AI product engineer and AI data scientist. And I'm like, there's all of these new evolving
that
roles
weren't here before.
That weren't here before. And so, are people's jobs going to change? Absolutely. But they have been evolving. I used to talk about a skill set that lasted, 7 years, and then all of a sudden it became, 3 years, then 6 months. I mean, that's the world we're living in now. And so focusing on how to be agile in this ever-changing market and then figuring out how to get the value out of it. But that's going to continue to evolve too, right? So we're going to continue to work with agents, continue to feed it more information, right? And then
they're just going to get smarter.
They're going to get smarter and smarter, be able to make recommendations, be able to do tasks, right? But then it's also how are you working as a team and human to then say, okay, if we're taking this, how are we able to make decisions, right? And you see that playing out. I mean, I was at the doctor the other day. She went through, okay, here's what everything looks like. Here's all the facts. This is what this means. Let's have a discussion about it, right? And what does this mean? And what are going to be some of those next steps that you're going to take? It's no different, right, in the workplace as you're going to continue to make decisions and negotiate and influence and look at that data, right? And look at the recommendations that are being made and make decisions, right? And that's going to be a great thing as we see that evolution, in the workplace right now.
And hopefully by leveraging the power of AI and technology, we can make decisions faster.
Absolutely.
And have that kind of trusted advisor
Yep.
that serves you up ideas or different ways of thinking and challenging our thought process. I love the statement that right now with AI, if you're standing still, you're going backwards.
Yeah.
And change is the only constant. And I think we are seeing that more than we ever have done before right now. So shifting from kind of fear to empowerment, because a lot of people are scared, but we want to make sure that they feel empowered, and truly seeking skills as being dynamic, not static. It's about giving people the tools and the confidence, as you said, to evolve. And that's something we're incredibly passionate about here at Workday. It's not just about adapting to AI, is it? It's about almost thriving with it. So how can leaders cultivate a culture of continuous learning and growth? You touched on it a little bit. That also helps employees find genuine purpose and fulfillment in their role, which is what I call soul work. And why is now such a critical time to build this type of culture within your organizations?
Well, it gets to, what motivates the humans, right? And we have to recognize that if they're not going to have these opportunities, they're also going to feel like they're outdated in their skill sets and not be motivated, right? But it's, again, there's a fear factor, right? So there's the energy that comes with it and people feeling, just empowered, but also thinking about how we're going to do it in a way that's going to make people feel like, okay, I'm in a safe environment and I have what I need. And it comes down to the ethical components here of it too. So an example of embedding continuous learning is leveraging Workday's talent marketplace, which is really exciting right now, how we could see really leveraging those skills, working, machine learning, working with humans, pulling this all together.
Yeah.
I love seeing the evolution of seeing companies really start to take advantage of that and really starting to be agile in a way that's allowing the workforce to feel comfortable, right? Of being able to work with humans and agents together.
Well, we've been talking in the industry about the future of work for at least a decade, but I truly believe that the new future of work is the world that we're living in now. And, it really is a new Workday, to coin a phrase. But I really, truly believe that it's a new era of work that we're in right now. Well, I love that you're talking about empowering people to own their growth journey, connecting them to opportunities that really kind of ignite their purpose, and it's creating a true sense of agency. Just flipping and looking at it from a different angle, how can organizations effectively leverage AI to personalize employee development and at the same time create more equitable opportunities for growth across the entire workforce?
Well, I think you said it in that development, right? It really is evolving and looking different. And you really have to take part in what are those experiences that you want as well, right? And what's going to motivate you, what's going to help you learn, because people learn in different ways. And so I also think it's, from a leadership perspective, the role of the CHRO is completely evolving. Right, I
think more so actually than any other role in the C-suite right now.
Absolutely. To me, the CHRO and CIO need to be best friends. If we're going to talk about, the just human and agents working together, that means the CHRO and the CIO need to also think about how they're going to intertwine just building capabilities together, right? This is, if we expect the human and agents to be working together, it's the same thing, from a leadership perspective. And every single conversation right now is how are we getting value out of the work that we're doing? How are we getting value out of the investments that we're making in AI and in our agents, right? So that has to be a conversation that's happening together. What skills are we going to build, through technology versus what skills are we going to build through our humans? What are those teams going to look like? And how do we continuously evolve that and continuously work together? To me, that those roles are completely intertwined and, new best friends.
Yeah, I think that's great. I like to kind of think of it as the CHRO is almost becoming the new chief work officer.
Absolutely.
Because they have to look across both not only managing the human element at work, but also now the technology and how it's powering the workforce overall. So it's an exciting time to be in HR.
It absolutely is. We looked at, we call it our workforce reimagined, right? And it's all about that, of just the continuing evolution of the role of the CHRO, right? And that partnership with the CIO, and that partnership also with the CFO is also part of it.
That's a real kind
right?
of like, triangle effect really
Absolutely.
of the CHRO, the CIO, and the CFO. And it's lucky that Workday has the AI platform that manages your people, money, and now your agents.
There you
So we're here to help. You talked a bit about data quality, ensuring that your AI is ethical. So that brings me perfectly on to our next topic. What I see as the ethical imperative is leading with responsibility in this new age of AI. Because it's one thing to say that we'll use AI responsibly, but how do leaders truly ensure that AI is augmenting human capabilities with that laser focus on maximizing the value, as we said, of the uniquely human skills like innovation, ethical decision-making, critical analysis, empathy, which I think is a really important one. And what tangible value are you seeing in your conversations with other organizations that have embraced this more thoughtful, human-first approach?
Yeah. I will say data acumen has been the number one topic, right? And it's coming down to, as a human, how are you going to leverage that data? What is the data? Do you trust that data? I mean, the data acumen component here is so important. And it's part of every conversation. And look, doing lots of large transformations over the years. I mean, what's one of the hardest part is cleaning up the data.
Yeah.
Right. And making sure, it was with a client who talked about, they love that they had to go through this transformation because they know now when they're building agents and it's using Workday's data, they know they could trust that data, right? But you're going to be bringing in data from lots of different places.
Yeah.
And how do you know that, first of all, you could trust that data? You could have access to that data. Should an agent have access to certain data, right? And you get into all the different data privacy laws that come into and all the different policies.
Well, especially when you're thinking with global organizations as well.
Absolutely. And so think about the role of a human understanding that, right? It goes back to also the role of the CHRO, really understanding, obviously always had to think about the data privacy, but now thinking about it, with agents in place, thinking about what you're accessing, how are we using it, and then how are we using it in the decision making and how you could trust that data. I mean, we are entering it's exciting, but it also comes back to that person feeling like, could I trust this data? Could I make decisions on this data? And where is the data coming from, right? And how do I continuously feed the right data into it and make sure that I can do that in a trusted way?
And the quality of your decisions are very much dependent
Absolutely.
upon the reliability and the trusted source of that data too.
Absolutely.
So it's a great reminder. Well, I see you as a forward thinker in this industry. So I would love to pick your brains and ask you a question looking into the future. What are your predictions for how AI is going to continue to evolve the future of work? The possibilities, truly feel pretty endless. But what's really on the horizon that excites you most, Jannine?
I'm excited for what's to come. But when we look at it, there are roles that are really shifting and changing. We really have to think about apprenticeship in a totally different way, right? Even for ourselves, for the whole consulting world, as we think about like entry level, what are the different types of capabilities that we're building and the work that's being done? So much of that we've continued to innovate and evolve, and now building more agents to continuously do those work. We're seeing organizations flatten. I was reading an interesting article by Gartner recently that talks about organizations flattening a lot more, especially because of all the innovation in AI. And so need to consider that, but it's also an exciting time where there's so many new jobs and those human skill sets are becoming increasingly more important. As we talked about, empathy, right? Decision making, negotiations and influence, all of those are roles that we need to continue to invest with our people in as well. To me, this is about sparking progress with AI. And we talk about illuminate. This is the time where we could illuminate, and really take advantage of all of the innovation that's coming. So I see the possibilities just absolutely endless. And the companies that continuously focus on the investments that they're making in both their people and their technology and the innovation, those are going to be the companies that continue to remain relevant in the markets.
That's so exciting. Well, I feel very empowered, exciting, and I'm going to be even more of a agent for change when it comes to leveraging AI within my own organization and personally in my home life as well. So that was wonderful. It was a very thought-provoking discussion, Jannine. I'm so grateful for you sharing your insights on leading with humanity in this incredible age of AI. It's so clear that by focusing on our people and embracing the power of responsible AI, we can truly illuminate the future of work together. And to our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. To dive even deeper into many of the themes we explored today, I highly recommend exploring Deloitte's latest Human Capital Trends report that we talked about. It's a goldmine of insights on the human factor in this boundaryless world. And for even more practical insights, invaluable peer connections, and a first-hand look at how Workday is driving an AI-powered, human-centric future of work, helping you manage your people, your money, and now, guess what? Your agents. So be sure to join us at Workday Rising 2025. We're incredibly excited to bring our community together in San Francisco, September 15th to 18th, and registration is open now. It is truly the definitive AI conference of the year, designed to empower you with confidence and actionable strategies. You can find more information on the report and register for Workday Rising via the links below. Thank you again for being with us today.